Hey, what's up, guys? We're back with another edition of the Zero Hour. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs, and we are in recap mode this week. We're going to recap Aries 14 on this episode. Went down this past Friday night from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe's in Knoxville, Tennessee. You can catch the replay still at spectationsports.com. Jeff, fun night of fights. This is one of those cards that went through a lot of changes in the last week, but we were able to salvage what I thought to be the best fights still. So we didn't really lose any of the, our top tier fights. And really everybody delivered. We had knockouts, we had some really nice subs, and then we had some wars that went to decisions.
Yeah, honestly, I walked away from this weekend or from this Friday night, man, just really proud of this show. Actually, really felt good about it. I was really proud of it. I just felt really satisfied, and I guess proud is the best word I can say. Of this show. Like you said, we started out, a few weeks before showtime, up 16 fights, probably in totality 17 fights, and we end up with 10. And like you said, at the end of the day, the ones that fell off didn't hurt us. Because the ones that stayed on, I mean, there was a reason why they stayed on. They sold a shit ton of tickets for us. Crowd support was great. Friends and family were there. I mean, they were the show, and they delivered for us. So can't be prouder, can't be any more happy than how that 10 fight card, turned out.
Of course, our first event with Twisted Tea, we gave out our first Twisted Tea KO of the night belt. That was cool. National Guard in the house. Got some new sponsors, some old sponsors under new guises, if you will. So just an overall really, really fun show. Before we get into this, shout out to our presenting sponsor here, Smoky Mountain CBD. Check them out at SmokyMountainCBD.com. Give all of our VIP tables a really nice swag bag. That was no different this past show, as well as our Of the Night award winners all got a really nice swag bag from Smoky Mountain CBD. Those roll-on sticks probably will come in handy for several of those cats that were in some wars. So shout out to them, and we look forward to seeing them at the next show. Dive into it. 10 fights to run through. Shouldn't take us too long before we get on the trek to the next card. By the way, that'll be March the 3rd, back at the world famous Cotton Eye Joe, Aries 15. And there's going to be a pro-am. We're going to start working on that card this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we go to our next, big show. That's April 29th, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We announced at this past event, Jeff, we'll just dive into this super quick, but it's we went ahead and made it public. 145 professional title goes up for the first time in our short history as Robbie Ring and Zach Hicks are going to throw down April 29th in Chattanooga.
Man, it was tough sitting on this one. We knew this was coming, but this was a tough one to sit on because you were so excited about it. And you wanted to tell the whole region, the area that have been following these guys that it was going to happen. But yeah, main event, April 29th. Both these cats are nicest people in the world especially in this industry that you could work with. And, while I know they'll keep it classy, man, they are both serious about this fight, and the competition is going to be hot and heavy on April 29th. I know there's going to be other really good fights on this card, but this one is going to be the show stealer, I'm afraid.
Yeah, man, that card, it's early, but if things fall in pieces, the pieces fall in place like we're hoping they will, folks, that will be one of our better shows that we put on, potentially rivaling the Amp card from top to bottom as far as just, badass fights. So we'll get into that more and more. You may have noticed out there, we've gapped out our shows a little bit further so we can give our all on these. We've got about a 7-week gap between now and March 3rd, and then about another 7-week gap between March 3rd and April 29th. So we do our very best for y'all to put on, the best cards we can. Let's dive into this card, Jeff. 10 bouts to run through. We opened up with a grappling bout that came together on Fight Week, actually, but two familiar faces. Dustin Garrett took on Corey Henson. Dustin Garrett representing DC Combat in Murphy, North Carolina. Corey Henson with Rowan Wrestling Academy in Concord. They went all 10 minutes, man. We did not get a sub. It's been a while, it seems, since we've had a 10-minute draw. Most of the time, we've been getting winners here. So, a lot of stalemate action here. There was a triangle attempt there from Corey at one point. We just couldn't get it. A lot of the top control time spent by Garrett, but there was a sweep by Henson as well. I don't know how they would have scored this had it been like a points or a judge's or a ref's decision, but a good way to warm the crowd up and a good way for both of those guys to get 10 full minutes time, more importantly, which they both valued a lot. Corey especially hadn't gotten to spend that much time in the cage yet, and then Dustin getting ready for his pro debut coming up. That was good for him as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. May have been a draw, but both guys, got some valuable cage time, not interrupted by breaks in rounds, being able to concentrate on their ground game and grappling. Like you said, lots of sweeps back and forth. You think, okay, somebody's got good top control. This may be where we're going to stay for a while, and reversal after reversal. Garrett wanting to stay active, like you said before, his first professional fight. But Corey just really wanted to, have a good showing, and I think he did. I think he got, what he needed out of this, and happy for both of them for what's next. Corey's one of the nicest guys too in the world, and as well as all the Garretts, really. But for Corey to be able to go in there after some of the outings that he's had, I was really happy for him. In this one, Dustin has had some highs in the past, so he's been able to have that feeling before. So I was happy for Corey to be able to, get to the end of this 10-minute round and feel good about his performance.
From here on out, it's all MMA, folks. And our next bout ended up being a featherweight bout. It was originally set to be a bantamweight bout, and originally it was going to be Ryan Dirksen making his debut out of Wolves Den in Madisonville, Tennessee, under Adam Silvey. He was supposed to take on Alex Dees, rather. Alex Dees went ghost on us the night before. All kinds of excuses about rides and whatnot, and then. So we go into scramble mode at the last minute, as we do, and we got to the rules meeting, and Nick Golden from Rowan Wrestling Academy was there. And to tell you the truth, it crossed my mind a little earlier in the week. I was like, I thought about Nick a little bit, and I knew that Rowan was coming, but I also just kind of figured the weight situation would probably be tough. They're both 135ers, but you can also tell that Nick probably cuts a fair amount of weight to get to 135. So I didn't think it was possible, but AJ Cisco, coach for Rowan Wrestling, came up at rules meeting and said, "Hey man, I've got Nick here. He's 145 right now, but he's a 135er at heart, and he's willing to do this to get us a fight." And so we pitched it over to Dirksen and his coach Adam Silvey, and they were game to do it, man. So we had us a fight, and I was really excited to get it. And man, this was kind of a tale of two fights. First two rounds, I thought were edging towards Golden with the wrestling, getting the takedowns. Dirksen, kind of fishing for some subs here and there, but not able to get it. I think he was down going into the third round, but the gas tank on Nick Golden started to drain at that point, and so Dirksen knew that he had to go up there and get that finish, and he did with a guillotine in the third round. Ryan Dirksen wins his debut. Third round sub by guillotine, 1 minute 56 seconds into the third. Nick Golden drops to 1-1. Dirksen now 1-0. And, this is a featherweight fight, but both these guys are going to be bantamweight contenders. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah.
Dirksen also, if I could interrupt, Dirksen got the award.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Tennessee Army National Guard was in the house, and they're tough as hickory. Named after President Andrew Jackson from Tennessee. Tough as hickory fighter of the night went to Dirksen, and it was for that third round comeback. Like they felt the same way that Golden was probably up on the cards, and they love that warrior spirit and perseverance and coming back. And not to mention when this Nick Golden thing came up, promoter mind in us was like, hey, we know this is last minute. We can do a Thai kickboxing, and for Dirksen and Golden to go, no, we'll keep it MMA, was a huge plus and surprise, because we were willing to kind of back it down for everyone not being prepared, for each other, and in Golden's case, not even to compete. And they said, hell no, we're going to keep the little gloves on. Let's do it. So shout out to both of those for even keeping it an MMA fight on such short notice. And and definitely for those that like to pick apart some things, Nick Golden's medicals were all still intact, guys. So this wasn't something we just kind of grabbed someone off the street. So, but yeah, man, Dirksen was Adam Sylvie over at Wolves Den was really high on this kid and really wanted you to get him on the card, and we see why. He's got a little personality,
Swagger.
in him, some little spark plug, little uh, we'll just call it personality. He's got some personality. Um, but at the end of the day, I think he's just pumped up about the event and was more than gracious. Once things kind of got settled down with the weigh in, the opponent, and knowing he was going to compete, it was a really nice kid. And he was really, really pumped and excited and thankful for that award that he received from the Tennessee Army National Guard. Golden noticed today already on social media. Made no bones about it. Felt good about his performance, but he said himself the old gas tank kind of just was, a little too close to empty right there at the end, and kind of had to sputter, the last part of that fight. And he made it clear that that's where things went wrong. But what can you expect from some guy that took this, on such short notice and had no intentions of competing? So nothing to hang his, head about.
Moving on to our next bout is our we'll call it our we'll call it our what do we call we need a name for this division, the Legends division. Let's call it something like that.
I don't know.
The Masters, the Masters division.
The Masters, yes.
Yeah, right. As Dan Garrett took on Jacob Keaton, catchweight 165 pounds. Dan Garrett coming in at 2-3. DC Combat, Murphy, North Carolina. The Pops of Dustin Garrett taking on Jacob Keaton, making his debut out of Somerset Martial Arts there in Kentucky under Ian Lawler. And, Keaton was a good sized guy, man, at 165. I think he had to have cut a fair amount of weight to get to that 165. He's a pretty good sized dude. And he was really very dominant in this one as he got the win in the very first round by TKO, ground and pound, 2 minutes, 12 seconds in. Not a lot of heavy damage done, I didn't think, to Dan afterward, but referees are always going to err on the side of caution here. Dan, found himself in a bad spot. It didn't look like he was going to, get up from. So rather than let him take any unnecessary damage, he called it off. And Jacob Keaton 1-0. I was told this is a bucket list kind of thing, but now I've been told maybe Jacob Keaton's ready to get back in there.
Well, I was just happy. Dan doesn't look at age at all. This guy is in the gym. He's working. He looks great at his age, and loves to compete. Doesn't want to be told he can't compete or that he shouldn't. We hear all the damn comments and the little posts on videos and things about how this is horrible and embarrassing, and I can't believe that you guys have him out there. Listen, Dan comes looking for fights. He wants to compete. He puts in the work, and he wants, it's like practicing every day at a sport and then, told you can't play. He wants to play, with everybody else, and he puts in the work to do that. And, I was very happy to hear, though, that we had another guy kind of in the same situation with Keaton that, hey, I've put in the work. I get in there in the gym and I'm with all these young cats and getting beat up here. I want to compete too, and I want to show, I want to have my game after all the practice. And to be able to put these two guys together was cool as hell, man. It's something they should be proud of. By no means should anybody involved with Dan, Garrett or Keaton be embarrassed that these guys are in there fighting or competing. And so, say what you want, because we're sure as hell not embarrassed by it. And I was happy that Keaton had a great crowd there too. A lot of support. So this just isn't some guy that, he's got support. He had a lot of people there, to be honest with you, there, to push him on and celebrate with him, this accomplishment of being able to lock a cage door behind you and standing there and compete with another man. So, yeah, it happened. We've seen this all the time, but the ones that call it a bucket list put in so much work to mark this bucket list thing off, and then they catch the feeling, they get the bug. They're like, oh shit, that was awesome. That felt good. I don't know if I don't want to feel that again. And it sounds like Keaton, I mean, hell, Dan's been telling us it's the last one for the last year and a half. So it sounds like Keaton. And if he looks at Dan, Tim, Keaton was what, 44. Dan was
Mhm.
52 or so. Keaton's
Oh,
gonna,
he's 53 now, but I believe he had his first one when he was 51.
but Keaton's going to
Mhm.
look at that and go, well, shit. Under those terms, I still got like 7 years of a career left in this thing. So,
Yeah.
man, hats off to both these guys for what they did. I'm proud of them.
Final fight on this segment, featherweight bout. Another one that had some changes. Both these guys were scheduled to fight other people, and so both of their opponents dropped out, and they fought each other. Spencer Rivas, 2-0 coming in out of James Gray's Scorpion Fighting Systems in Michigan, taking on Noah Basinger, Rowan Wrestling Academy, making his debut. This was a 145 fight, and man, tell you what, I can't say that I'm surprised at the winner, but I will say I'm surprised at like how quick it was. Spencer Rivas, round one submission by triangle, 33 seconds in. And we're talking all the way to sleep. Noah Basinger goes here on this thing. And it was like, there had to have just been the perfect triangle or something because it was fast. Very, very impressive. Transitioned off from the arm and onto the triangle. And Spencer Rivas now 3-0. Talked to his coach Gray today, and he's going to be wanting to go down to 135 now. Now at 3-0, I think we've got a guy that's kind of on the radar as somebody we could put in a contender type fight next. Basinger will be a 35er as well. He was originally set to be a 35 for this one. Tall, good wrestling, but just ran into a buzzsaw in this one. So I do think that the best is yet to come from Noah Basinger as well.
Yeah, Rivas was really touted by his coach. He had some great girls on this card, but he made sure he kept telling, like, I know Zoe and Sierra at the top of this card, but uh, don't sleep on my guy here that came
Yeah.
along for the ride. He said this kid is good and he's going to be special, and we see why. Like you said, that was impressive as hell. I mean, he was in a defensive posture, defense mode right there when it all went down. Basinger went after it. I mean, he went after him. But man, how fast he got those legs wrapped around his head. Took just a split second to get that foot locked behind the knee on the other. But as soon as he did and rolled him to the side, it didn't take long before referee Luke Wilson. Actually, I was rewatching, and Rivas looked at the ref and told him like he's out.
He's asleep. Yeah.
He knew it, and again, for something that start to finish 33 seconds, and only a fraction of that was the triangle. For him to recognize that quick that he was out and be able to tell the referee just shows you how deep that thing was in. So it was impressive as hell. I mean, I'm going to hate here in a second when you get these pictures out. Not many pictures of the Rivas and Basinger fight to post for you guys, but that's Rivas's fault. But like I said, Basinger's a tough young kid. This group, man, they give it hell, man, and they're gonna get it together, and they're gonna be special little group of young guys here. Once they just get some more time, we talked about it on the preview show. They're using their amateur career, truly as learning experience. And so at some point, I do see these guys probably having a longer amateur career, but for the right reasons. Like, let me get all this learning, get my lumps out of the way, and then when it all starts clicking, they'll have an even longer extended time as amateurs, because now they're going to want to receive all the fruits of their labor.
Moving on to the next segment of the card, we had a 145 bout as Blake Grant makes the drop from lightweight to featherweight out of Guardian MMA in Murfreesboro. He took on another Rowan Wrestling Academy fighter in Scotty Everhart, who was coming in at 0-1. Blake Grant 1-0, and he just debuted on the very last card at the Joe. So a quick turnaround for him and dropping weight. Really good sized guy at 145 now. Blake Grant gets the win. Round one, TKO, minute 48 seconds in. This is a wild one. Again, like Everhart, you could tell was going to be very game. Like he was kind of a little spark plug, like
dropped
kind of
him, Tim.
He did.
Dropped
He
Grant.
did. He dropped him, and so this is a little bit, the result doesn't tell the tale of like what an exciting fight it was, but once Grant was able to get top control, the ground and pound from Grant is serious stuff. Some really big shots from the top, and Blake Grant moves to 2-0, and just a great guy to work with. He has a great fan base that comes over from Middle Tennessee, and at 145, man, he's sneaking into the picture here. I'm sure he'll have his eyes on this Brivin Sullivan Joseph Hitchman title fight coming up.
Yeah, very much so. He doesn't necessarily rush things either, though. He'll probably take some time in between
I would
this one and the
imagine.
next one,
Mm-hmm.
because he's in no rush. Kind of waits for the right opportunities and make sure he gets some, training in between. Um, I want to say Tim, I was talking to him about April 29th and the distance between
Mm-hmm.
Chattanooga and Murfreesboro being
Yeah.
awesome, but I think he's got a child that's due the week before the fight. So I think
Yeah.
he'll definitely take some time off. He said, to enjoy, that huge moment in his life. But when he comes back, like you said, I'm sure he's going to be watching that March show. Um, um, Even at weigh-ins, the drop to 145. While yes, like every fighter, he was ready to get on that scale. He didn't look like he was. It really killed him. So he knows what he's
Yeah.
doing with the weight cut. Does it the right way and looked fresh and healthy. Um, even with the 145 drop, so he could definitely be a problem. Even right now at 2-0 for other guys in our area at this weight class. But like I said, Everhart, man, just like the other rowing guys, don't hang your head just because it says L next to their name. He came and gave it hell, man, and he clipped Grant early in that fight and dropped him. And Grant had to just kind of just go to instinct and grab that leg and and get some control to get his wits back about him. But man, as soon as he did, the ground and pound was relentless. Everhart was trying to hold him off with some up kicks to the chest and stomach area to keep pushing him back, but Grant was not going to play the no. Come on, you can get back up. He wanted to finish it, and
Mm-hmm.
he dropped the bombs from that standing position. A couple of times I really thought referee Luke Wilson was going to step in when they were right in front of our panel where we were sitting and stop the fight. But he gave Everhart every opportunity and chance to stay in it. When he would say, I need to see something out of you, Everhart would show him something, but the volume just got to be too much. And like we talked about before, it's an amateur fight, man. These guys are young in their career. There's no need or sense in taking that much damage when you can live to fight another day. So hats off on the stoppage. I was happy with that, and definitely happy with what we've got in a young Blake Grant.
Previous two fights, Spencer Rivas, Blake Grant, both recipients of our of the night awards. As was our next fighter, we've got the heavyweights up next, and this was Blake Mitchell taking on Trevor Parker. Blake Mitchell representing Outlook MMA, Nashville, Tennessee, first time with that camp under Lance Patrick. And he took on Trevor Parker, who come in 1-0 out of Carlson Gracie in Corbin, Kentucky, out of Kevin Barberina. And man, these guys, as expected, they were throwing down. They were throwing bombs in the middle of the cage. This was the fight that we both thought would kind of have the leg up on that TKO belt of the night. What just due to size and style, but yeah, Blake Grant was able to land the big KO 1 minute and 37 seconds into the first round. And moves to 1-1. Parker falls to 1-1, and Mitchell also picks up that twisted TKO belt, and he was proud to have it. He was out hunting ducks with it the next day, and just happy for him to get that win. And I know Parker will be back as well. Another good guy that is comes from a good camp, and when you got big guys like that in there throwing heavy leather, then someone's bound to fall.
Yeah, the twisted TKO belt was very heavily sought after. Even as we talk about the Grant Everhart fight, as guys started ending their fights by that,
Yeah.
they would periodically come in and check in, like, I'm in the running, right? I'm in the running. Or just, once someone else came in, and got one. Okay, just let me know. Am I out of the running or not? Did that one beat mine? Just let me know that so I know whether or not I can give up on taking it home or not. So so after this fight, Mitchell, who may have, because he had an early morning duck hunting trip, have headed back
Yeah.
to Nashville. Definitely stuck around because he felt that it's going to take something special from this point on, with only 4 fights left to take my lead. He felt in that TKO of the night belt. So, but like you said, a minute 37. What these heavyweights get in the cage. It doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't take much, like there's no skill involved, but just you land a couple of shots at this weight class. I mean, and we had 265 versus 262. These weren't 235ers. They were tipping the scales. One exactly on the money, 265. The other 262 and some
Mhm.
change. These are big boys. These are big heavyweights. But nice little combinations and follow ups by Mitchell. Watching the slow mo. I think on Spectation had the slow mo little clip up on their Facebook page, was really sweet, and you could see just those heavy hands once, even kind of when they glance off kind of the top of the head. There's just so
Mhm.
much behind them, and again, if you watched it, announcer called it TKO as a KO.
Yeah.
There was no follow up after that last one hit. The referee was on his way in to wave it off before his body hit the ground. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to Mitchell. But like I said, both these guys now at 1-1. Still plenty of good fights ahead for both of them to get this thing back right. Um, and definitely look to see both of these guys in the future.
All right, up next, rounding out this segment, it was a welterweight bout set for 170 pounds. Two debuting fighters, Austin Sauls making his debut out of Maryville, Tennessee, taking on Anson Phillips, the final entry for Rowan Wrestling Academy on the evening. And we talked a little bit before on the show that this was kind of this was like their stud. This is like like their guy, the one that everybody was really kind of rallying around, is going to go out there and get him a win and make him proud. And he did that as he gets Austin Sauls out of there in the second round, TKO, 1 minute 29 seconds in. Really back and forth fight though. I thought Sauls had some really good moments. He had Mount in the first round. Was unable to hold it for the entirety of the round as Phillips was able to kick off the cage, reverse position. The size of Phillips was probably his biggest advantage here. He had quite a bit of reach on Sauls. He just wasn't able to kind of close the distance like he wanted to. You can see though that Sauls is going to be tough. He's going to be he's scrappy. He's a tough guy. More than anything, I think in 155 is where he's going to be better suited. Just dimensions wise. Phillips moves to 1-0 and is got some got Rowan Wrestling on the board there to end the night on a high note. And at 170, there's going to be plenty of really fun fights for Anson Phillips as well. We'll get it sounds like we'll have Austin Sauls back in March, dropping to 155. We'll see if he does any better there. And this was just a really fun one. The crowd was into this one. The crowd started getting a little. This is where the crowd started getting a little rowdy.
Yeah, because Saul's had a great fan base, sold a lot of tickets, a lot of support there for him, which tells you what kind of guy he is to have that many people come out for his debut. So it says a lot. I think again, I always think it says a lot about somebody's character. If you're an asshole and a jerk, you probably don't have a lot of friends that are going to come out. And this guy had a lot of people, so obviously, really good guy. He was really good to us. The Thursday Friday weekend of the show. It's just one of those things. Sauls was absolute through a wrestler through and through, and you could tell. When things got hairy, it was just I got to get that leg. I got to get that leg, and I think Phillips was just able to add a little more mixed martial arts to his game plan and to his game. But like you said, though, when guys are that much of a size different, things aren't there that you think are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Body parts aren't there. His arms aren't where they should be, or his legs because they're longer than mine. You're taller than me. I think when he drops down in weight class, get some guys that are probably a little closer in size to him. Things are going to look a little different to him. But he's got that wrestler mentality of let's do it again. Wrestlers wrestle
Mm-hmm.
tournaments all day long, every weekend, traveling in AAU, and it's that same mindset. It sounds like he's taking with the MMA. Is if there was another card next week, he would take it. So it'll be awesome to have him back on in March, and I expect it gives him more time to fix things in the gym. And again, with that high level wrestling mentality, I imagine he's going to fix them because that's what wrestlers do. They whatever didn't work, I will fix it, and I will drill it and drill it and drill it until I do fix it. So I imagine we're going to see a much different Sauls when he comes back in March. And again, for the captain, they called him
Mm-hmm.
uh, of Rowan Wrestling. Congratulations on the team. They started the night with a draw and ended the night with with a win. And they were all happy for Phillips, man. You could see it. They were super excited for the man they call captain, and I think it made the ride back to Concord a little sweeter for them as a group because they really are a all for one for all kind
Mm-hmm.
of group, and so I was happy for the team, and I'll be excited to see Saul's back. Really, really am.
Up next, our feature bout of the evening, 155 pounds. Skylar King takes on Brandon Martino. Skylar King comes in at 3-5 out of Team Ground and Pound, and Brandon Martino makes his debut. First fighter that has come out of Perfectus BJJ in Columbia, Tennessee. And man, coming out party it was for Brandon Martino. He gets the win over King. Round one by submission, a minute and 2 seconds in with a Darce choke. And man, King is a purple belt. He's a good grappler. He's a good fighter. He's uh, well trained, in good shape, and man, there was just a different level of grappling shown from Brandon Martino. We mentioned his collegiate wrestling experience at Fresno State on the preview, but there wasn't any just stalling and riding out here. I mean, he was attacking immediately and had that Darce in for a moment, a good, with the fight ended up lasting a minute and 2 seconds, and probably 30 to 40 seconds of it was like in that Darce choke with King just trying to survive there, and eventually succumb to it. Brandon Martino gets a performance of the night award there as well,
Mhm.
and everybody's on notice at 155.
Yeah, that difference again when you looked at the Saul's fight to this one, both again high level wrestlers. Martino was able to mix in some really good jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
It was not just a let me get you down kind of thing. It was I'm going to get you down, and I'm going to start fishing for shit. And he did immediately as soon as he got him. It was really impressed. It was deep. It was tight. Kind of alligator rolled him into it to get King out of position to possibly get out, but there was no getting out of that Darce. It was locked good, and so uh, we were sitting there thinking about maybe because we've been contacted by some 155ers out of state, really good wrestlers and high level wrestlers and fucking Russians and Dagestanis that no one else will fight. And we're sitting there thinking, well, we could have a good wrestler versus wrestler fight with some of these matchups. But then you're like, oh shit, okay, well, Martino could pose a little different problem. It may not just be wrestler versus wrestler with what he showed us with his BJJ right there. So um, it really just sets another level of danger
Mm-hmm.
to Martino now. Um, that I think some of these fights could be really fucking awesome if we can make them happen. Uh, for the grappling enthusiasts, you probably salivate with some of these matchups that we could possibly put together. Uh, you got some Florida guys uh, from over across the pond, the big pond overseas. Like I said, these Dagestani guys that are reaching out to us, wanting to fight because no one else will put them on cards. I think Martino's the guy that we could probably do something with and put some definitely some eyes on a match like that.
Well, I was telling you before, his coaches, and I want to say that they were cocky by any means, far from it. Very nice guys, very humble guys, actually, but they were very confident. They were willing to fight whoever. There were. I'm not putting names out there, but there were
Right.
no names that were off limits.
Right.
I'll just say that there was nobody that they'd seen fight with us before that they weren't willing to make his debut against. And
Yeah.
so, from our side, we're talking about bringing up these Russians and killers from Florida. We want to have somebody fight them that's not just going to get ran. We want to have somebody that's going to have an
Yeah.
opportunity to win and make the home area look decent. So Martino, you might be our only hope here. So
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because these guys are in the same boat. The ones that are reaching out. I mean, they're 1-0 and 2-0. They don't have like these huge records that are scaring people off. They're scaring people off just with where they're from and their pedigree. And like you were telling me, the other day was that's not going to scare the Martino camp off, which is just a godsend to hear that. That you've got a 1-0, and now, like I said, I know we got some 1-0 and 2-0 guys in that category. Uh, to just know that that's not going to scare this guy in this camp off. So um, I would feel confident, like you said, putting my guy up against these other guys after this performance.
co-main, co-main event up next.
Well, hold on, Tim. Hold on.
Can you
Let's
hear
not
me?
get. Yeah, I can, but hold on a
Oh,
second. It was Skylar King's birthday, y'all.
it was. Happy
Friday
birthday,
night.
Skylar. And he didn't give
Friday
me the shot.
night.
He was disappointed. He was
I
disappointed
right.
in the outcome, understandably so. And I tried to tell him, I was like, man, that guy's, it's a blue
Yes.
chipper. Don't hang your head on that. That's a tough dude.
But Skylar King also knew who Martino was
Mm-hmm.
and what his backgrounds are. So when we're talking about people that weren't shying away from fights,
Yes.
Skylar King knew Martino's pedigree and did not shy away from a fight, and he took it. One of the nicest guys, again, that we have dealings with, and we have to say happy birthday again to him because it was his birthday Friday night, and super proud of that kid for always stepping in there. And not scared of what someone has on paper underneath their name.
No doubt, no doubt. It's hard to find this game. All right, co-main event. We're moving on from one blue chipper to another, and this was a female flyweight bout, 125 pounds, and two undefeated fighters from two very, very, very decorated gyms. Going to war here. Zoe Nowicki, representing Scorpion Fighting Systems in Michigan, 1-0, comes in to face Yinzi Alcantara, 2-0 out of Shield Systems right here in Knoxville. Been a while since we've seen Yinzi, so it was good to see her back. But this was Zoe Nowicki's night, man. It was unanimous decision, all the rounds for Nowicki, officially 30-26 across the board. Alcantara with a weight snag of the night before, so there was a point deduction. But it would not really make a difference here, as that did not come into play. And Zoe Nowicki's wrestling is everything it's advertised to be. We talked about Alcantara being skilled on the ground, potentially being able to throw up submissions and threaten from her back, but there was no room for that. There was no space given by Zoe Nowicki. She is, you're wearing her like a blanket, essentially. And, man, just first, props to Yinzi for taking this fight against Zoe, because from what I can gather, they're not lining up for this one. And on a 2-year layoff at that, many would want that, let's get the rust off kind of fight first. So she dove right in there against the top prospect. But I think Nowicki could potentially be the deal, man. Alcantara is very good, and she made this pretty one-sided.
Yeah, the size difference. If you look at the weigh-in picks, I looked at them again today. First, the picture of Nowicki on the scale, all you could see were her eyebrows on the balance scale because she wasn't taller than the balance weight at the top, and then the face-off picture. You would think we had just done something criminal, really.
Yeah,
Like a 2 weight class difference or something. Now, granted, Alcantara did miss weight. She weighed in at 128. I believe her first attempt did go back and got down to 127.4. The limit with Gamma.
amateurs. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Gamma amateurs, you get a 1.9 allowance. So she was still over that. And, the concession that was made because these are amateurs. And guys, if you're watching, this is something we're going to probably get with Gamma and do more and more. The fighters that do make weight are obviously upset because their opponent didn't, but they're also upset because, unlike the pros, there's nothing you can really hold them accountable with. You can't take a purse from them. You can't take a percentage. and a lot of times they still take these fights because they train hard and they want to have something to show for it. They don't want to tell their fans, "Hey, sorry," and especially in this case, Nowicki's case, where you sell, a lot of tickets to say, "Oh, sorry guys, I'm not fighting now because I didn't accept this fight with her being, a pound over." So
I
they
know you
take these,
flew here.
yeah, those that flew from Maine, New Hampshire, Michigan, drove from that way. So, um, there's got to be something that some sort of concession. So this one point deduction at the end of the fight was what was agreed upon, and it's something we're going to start probably doing more of. And but like you said, the good thing is it didn't you know come into play at all in this fight. We were 30-27 when the cards were turned in. It was unanimous. Um, but like you said, Nowicki just did not leave any space. She didn't leave any time, if that makes sense too. She didn't stay in one spot too long. She was transitioning from one side to the other. She was stacking her up on the fence. When she would get her, up against the fence, and Yancey's trying to get up, she would grab that double leg, pull her back down into a seated position, mount her against the cage. She just wouldn't leave um, any space or any time, in between the two. She was constantly moving from side to side, and wasn't just doing a quote unquote wrestler thing. Just, hey, I'm just going to hold my position. Constantly hammer fisting, ground and pound, getting her shots in, trying to take the back. Uh, there were times where I thought she could have maybe jumped some hooks in and taken a back. No, she's punching up underneath the arms, trying to, to end a fight. So her coaches, while very high on her and had so much praise for her, also very grounded in where she's at right now and say, hey, there's a lot of things that we still need to work on with her. She's getting better at everything. She's improving every time, but there's still so many things we want to see from her, and before we jump her too far too fast, which happens a lot of times when you get a hot little prospect who has good wrestling, and maybe we can fast track her. Doesn't sound like the Scorpion Fighting System team up there is looking to do that. They want to do it the right way, and from what it sounds like, Tim, they're going to go back to the lab and get some things together, and have already kind of circled a date with us later, kind of closer to summer, about making the trip back down. Sounds like they like Tennessee, and going to come back and bring her back down, and we'll see where she's at. For Alcantara, you're right. That was a big step up. Being out for so long, but she looked good, as far as her spirits, yeah, she missed weight, but um, I think maybe against anybody else other than Zoe Nowicki, um, it would have been a different Yancey, because she was going for things. She was just against a girl who was not going to give her the opportunity. Um, I think we'll probably see, as long as coaches agree and things like that, is I don't think we'll see the layoff again like we just did with her. I think she'll be ready, and I think she'll be better because of this fight. Like I said, she was 2-0. She's only 2-1 now. She's still got a winning record, and I think we won't see her gone as long this time. And I think this will have paid some dividends for her. It had been 2 years since a weight cut. Granted, no excuse. Her team wasn't making excuses. Her coaches that were there weren't making any excuses for her. But that is the fact of the matter. She hasn't had to do a weight cut in 2 years either. You got to get a lot of things back in the groove of a lot of things. And it's just not a gym that's known for that kind of thing either. They don't deal with missed weight cuts, hardly ever, if any, in the past. So they'll fix it. She just got to stay consistent in the gym. And I think still the sky's the limit for both these girls.
That's the kind of fight that will, if you're with the right people around you, and you're with a good gym like she is, that will be the kind of fight that would potentially make you turn the corner on your training habits, and just really dialing in, giving it what it takes to compete at that next level. I think she got a taste of what, top level wrestling is going to be like if you're going to go to the next level, the bigger platforms, you're going to be running into that kind of thing. So hopefully we see both these ladies back again soon. According to James Gray, good chance Nowicki will go to 15 next. She came in, didn't cut anything to get to be 125, and at 115 you'll start seeing less and less of that reach discrepancy that she was giving up in this one.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know that. That just again kind of makes you go, wow. The
Yeah.
size difference that she gave up in this one, and then you imagine her cutting down to 115. Um, just the strength. We trust me. If you've seen the pictures we put, we've got the Torres Finney lift and dump in this one with a girl that was much larger than her. So we got some really good picks. So her strength, that's scary, man. At 115.
Main event time for the Aries Featherweight Championship. We went 5 rounds. The defending champion, the Mare Bear, Mary Rosenbeck, out of Militia MMA and Powell's Martial Arts Concepts, defended her title against Sierra Buxton, the third representative from Scorpion Fighting Systems on this card, hoping to make it a clean sweep on the night. Came up just, a hair short as Mary Rosenbeck takes a unanimous decision win 48-47 across all 3 cards. That's 3-2 on all the cards. You and I were just like, shit, I don't know how this is going to go. It was a really good fight, really close fight. We said many times, man, I wouldn't want to judge this. This would be really hard to judge. And all the rounds were just very, very close. I felt like the early rounds, Sierra probably got off to a bit of a lead, and I thought the later rounds, Mary started making a bit of a comeback. I didn't see the cards, didn't know exactly which judges went which way. I thought, in my eyes, Mary had gotten the last 2 rounds, and then the first 3 rounds were like super tight. So I didn't know. I think it was safe to say that everyone needed to go for the best performance they could in the 5th round, as close as it was. But it was Mary Rosenbeck, 3-2 on all the judges' cards. Were you surprised that all the judges agreed by the exact same score? For one,
I was proud that they did. Of course, as a promoter, you're just hoping that a really good fight isn't tainted by just a weird, wonky scorecard. So there's always that nerve because you just want everything to be as fair as possible. My biggest fear was, please God, don't let me hear a 5 rounds to nothing or a 4-1. Please don't. So I was definitely proud of the judges. And there could still have been some wonkiness as far as which rounds they saw for each person, but at the end of the day, I was happy that it was 48-47 because it truly showed how close these rounds were, and that they recognized that. And really, even if some rounds were seen different, I don't even think it really could have been that wonky because that's how close those rounds were. So I couldn't have been mad at one judge for seeing round 2 for Buxton and another one seeing it round 2 for Rosenbeck. So really couldn't have been mad if the rounds didn't match up either because it was that close a fight. It was a fight where I think Mary, some of the things I want to say, I don't even know if they're true. I was going to say I think Mary had some of the harder punches, but then Buxton had some really just solid connections that would rock Mary's, neck back too. So, but I think the difference is a lot of what Mary throws is power shots. The 2s and the 3s where Buxton uses that 1. She jabs a lot, which is really nice to see.
Really good one, yeah.
Yeah, she pumps it out there 2-3 times and sets up her power shot. Where I don't want to say typically Mary's like this, but in this fight, Mary's were the big 2s and the big 3s. Where Buxton, really, even when Buxton was retreating and backing up, and Mary's coming forward, she was popping the jab really nicely to help try to keep her at bay, and it was a chess match. It really was. It was a chess match between the 2. And Mary, when Buxton would really connect with something good, that's when you start seeing the Rosenbeck smile. She loves it. She starts grinning from ear to ear because she's like, "Yes, hit me again. We're in a fight." But like Mary does, often is she just has that, I call Terminator mentality where you might be hitting me with a jab, you might be popping out 3 of them, but I'm going to keep coming forward. I'm going to keep you kind of retreating. Both utilized the low kick almost identically. When one would pop it out there, the other would return it. Um, they would take them low, they would take them to the body almost simultaneously at sometimes. So very kind of mirror images of each other. It was just a really good fight, man. It was a really just evenly match made fight. Um, Buxton after the fight did have some foot issues where I think she said she kind
Mm,
of hit the elbow one good
yeah.
time. So that thing was looking kind of gnarly after the fight, but um, kind of what I said in the beginning of the show tonight, Tim, was I was really proud of this card and I was really proud of the main event you put together. It was We were excited to have two female fights, ending the show, and there was a reason. You got to see, a real stud in the wiki versus such a solid, fighter in Alcantara, and then you just saw it's just such an evenly matched main event between two girls, and the scorecard, tells you why. Mary made no bones about it. She wanted to end the fight. She wanted. Even I saw her post today. She was upset she didn't get that damn Twisted Tea belt. She's still salty about it. But at the end of the day, I talked to her that night, before we left, and she's like, I wanted that damn belt, but I've got to realize how happy I should be that I'm taking mine home because it was such a close fight. Um, once again, Jeff Powell in the corner with Tom Galicchio, that Powell striking man that we've seen with so many of the fighters that he works with. Mary has come a long way, Tim, from when you first started, dealing with her, and I think started out 0-3 as an amateur.
Mm,
Such leaps and bounds, and it's because of those guys, and that I don't know who she's been with in the past, so it definitely can't be any salt or shade I'm throwing to anybody because I don't know who she was with before those guys. But knowing what her record was before she got with, some of these guys, they have absolutely, definitely uh, been a huge part of her turnaround. And the other part of her turnaround has been her, I'm sure, her wife, her mindset, just other things in her life. So couldn't be, any more happy for such a good human being. But again, Buxton is young. Buxton, I think, is also 19, right?
yeah,
Uh,
she's just 19. Yeah,
a teenager. She just was able to
you'd be
vote.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she can't drink yet. She can barely vote.
Mm.
This girl's got some talent, for being as young as she is. And with that coaching staff and those teammates that she's got up there, man, this girl has got a future ahead of her as well. Um,
Does Mary go pro from here?
I don't know. I've heard some rumblings. She's got a big record. She's been around a long time, in the amateur ranks. We had her listed at 5-5. I think there's some fights that just haven't, were never reported. You know how some promotions don't want to, report to pay the fees for MMA.com and they don't want to mess with tournament. But she was off paper 6-6, so this is now 7-6. So 13 amateur fights over a long period, and the way she's done her amateur career with starting out with so many losses and then having to get the train righted. I mean that's a long career in itself, getting yourself out of a hole and getting into
Mm-hmm.
positive and then building up, to 7 wins and titles and things like that. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if she does. And the thing is, if she does, Tim, if Mary vacates her amateur title and goes pro, um, Buxton has to be in line after that performance. 48-47, go in the distance with a defending champ. That if there's somebody else that deserves to be in the cage with her, or if you can find that person, Buxton's got to be right there, possibly been able to get right back into another shot. With that
Yeah.
performance, I couldn't argue against her. The only thing I would have to argue is, well, you just lost your last one, but with that performance, it's hard to. You're one round from taking that title from someone else. That if that title's vacated, that you shouldn't be right in the mix immediately when it's time to or look for a new champ.
Yeah, I would agree. And for Mary, she's fought the cream of the crop around here at this point, and there's not so many more amateurs left for her to take on. I don't think she's gone 5 rounds her last 2 times against Samantha Buttery, and then here against Buxton. So Those are two very tough opponents. That's 10 full rounds. It was the same amount of time a pro fight would be with 15 minutes. So I do hope to see her make that
Hey,
leap. And
you just said it out of your mouth. I mean, the last two opponents, Buxton
yeah,
and Buttery. I
oh
mean,
yeah, makes all the sense in the world. And
that,
Buttery's actually picked up a win since,
yeah, I mean, that could be fire.
Yeah, no doubt. Really like that our women's division is growing, and that's going to do it for our recap, Jeff. We're going to close the books on this one. We'll post it on the YouTube page here, which you should like and subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell; you'll get notified when we post those up. And I think this week we'll be getting the Aries
Underground.
the National Underground fights will be posting. So you want to subscribe so you get notified when we post those up. There's some real good ones, some real bloody ones. And so look forward to that. Like it, subscribe it, comment. Let us know what your favorite fight was at Aries 14. What do you want to see at Aries 15? And stay tuned. We're going to be starting to kick some really nice fights out for that one soon. Any parting words, Jeff?
No, like you said, little gap in between shows. Aries won in Chattanooga was October of 2021, and we've not taken a month off. And not only have we not taken a month off, we had double shows about four or five times a month. So much needed, especially with the underground, and then this one so early in January. Really didn't even get to have the holiday season off, guys. So hope you understand. We are going to take February off and have a little downtime, not just for us though, but for you guys also, so we can give the fighters that are on the roster a rest, let them have some time to get in the gym, and bring you guys an even better product in March and April before we head into summer. So this is just as much for us or just as much for you as it is for us. But I think you guys are going to see the difference taking that time off. But since we do have more weeks than normal off, this is when you guys are going to get to see, like I said, underground fights Tim mentioned will start getting posted. And as soon as those are done being posted, then we're going to roll right into these Aries 14 videos. So be looking for videos. But while we try to get better at spacing out announcements, Aries 16 in Chattanooga is going to be big, guys. So we're probably going to be pumping out 15 and 16 graphics and bouts at the same time, just because while we knew that 16 in Chattanooga was going to be a big one, it's looking like 15 at the Joe is probably going to have
pretty good, yeah.
Some really good kick-ass fights. So we're going back on what we said to each other, and we're probably going to be pumping out, bout announcements over the next, several weeks for 2 shows at the same time.
That's going to wrap us up here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time here on the 0 Hour. For Jeff Hobbs, I'm Tim Loy, and we are signing out. Thanks for watching.